welcome to another Fire tutorial. Today I'm gonna be talking about the extrusion sub inside of Houdini. So I created a basic geometry box, and then I'm gonna come in here and create a box. Okay, to the box we're gonna create the poly mesh so that we have multiple different subdivisions in here, something that we can extrude. So I'm gonna do tab and the extrude poly extrude. So once I plug in the poly extrude, if I come here, this is gonna extrude the entire thing. Okay, so I wanna show you guys if you can do individual elements. Then if we do that, that's actually extruding each of them individually, but we have to hit the inset so that we can actually see what is happening. Right now we can see how cool we can come up with some quick solutions to procedural modeling techniques. So right here we have the twist, and if we increase the subdivisions, you can see how we can create some pretty quick results. And this is all procedurally controlled from up here. We can control the amount of pieces we want. And this is something that you can also control on basically any kind of geometry. If we put in a grid, and then our grid, we plug it into this, we're gonna get the same result. If we increase the subdivisions, the inset scale, you will see that we will get that same thing. Okay, so that's the basic thought of creating just some very simple extrusions in Houdini. Okay, so let's look at the other options that we have right here. We have the output back for sometimes, like if you extrude something, it doesn't have the closed output here, so you can make it available there. We have some spline controls for controlling the thickness, and we'll see a little bit more about this, but you can control the thickness and control, based on this sort of what sort of result you're gonna get. Okay, so that's something fun to play around with. And we also have a twist control here, which controls how much we are twisting. Okay, let me come back up here. The extrude. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys how to extrude based on groups. This is another solution that I use quite a bit. So say we've got some sort of geometry and we want to extrude this one, and this one. If you select them and inside of the viewport you hit tab and you hit extrude poly, then that's immediately going to create a group up here. And that group is controlling the extrusion. So if you move it here, that's the same thing as if we grab this little thing and we move it up here. And then if we get rid of one of these ones, it's gonna get rid of whichever one is that number. Okay, so that's one way of doing that. Then another way that it's a little bit more procedural and controllable is to create the groups in advance. So say we select that and we say group, that's immediately going to group them, and then we can tell the name of the group, extrude GRP, and then this is where we input the numbers, and then once we do an extrude poly right here, we can select the group that we want to extrude here, and then that means that we're going to extrude it like that. Okay, so that's another solution that it's super helpful, because you can continue to build a network and then reference this polygons down there, and that's that. Okay, so this is what I was mentioning earlier. This is where you can output the back. See, outputs the back and doesn't leave a hole in there. Another solution, we'll talk about grouping later, on another tutorial more in depth. But if we do a group here and we tell this group, actually we can do a group range, and then this group range we can procedurally control, you know, how we would like it to be controlled. And we'll do extrude exgrp, and then that's the group that we're gonna be extruding. And then whatever you change this group to be, that's what it's gonna extrude. Okay, so that's another option. Another cool way of controlling it would be if we create a box, or you know, whatever kind of geometry that you want to build, and we do a curve, and then whatever curve we draw, that's what the shape in which this thing is gonna be extruded. So we're gonna do something like that, and I'm gonna lay down a resample. And what the resample that does is that it allows me to change the point count here quite easily. So I'm gonna reduce the point count like that, and then I'm gonna convert to an Earth's curve so that it's smooth. And then I'm gonna use a transform, lay it down, and then I'm gonna move centroid to origin so that I can control it here. Okay, so I'm gonna place it on the 0 right there, and then I'm gonna do extrude, put down this one here and this one here. Okay, and then once we come in here and we do individual elements, and then instead of this we do curve from second input geometry, and we have to increase the subdivisions, then you can see that this is gonna start to take the shape of our curve. And it also controls it based on this. So I'm just gonna use one for the sake of showing you guys. And then right here, you see that if we rotate this, this is actually going to be affecting those. See? And then what we can do is come in here and increase the subdivisions. And then on spline control, we can come back and control this. So that's where things start to get pretty cool. Relatively fast. See, we can have quite a lot of control over this in a very procedural way. And then we can even begin to twist them around sort of like that. And then another cool thing that we can do is, you know, now I'm getting a little fancy here. And then this kind of stuff looks really cool because it allows you to create some, you know, very interesting organic growth effects. And you can control the adaptivity to control how many polygons you've got in there. You know, so even if you make it longer, then it's gonna feel like it's growing much more. And then, you know, then you've got plenty amounts of subdivisions in there, so you can apply some of the noise techniques that we've talked about on previous tutorials, or even just simply apply a mountain sub down here. Reduce this and reduce the height a bit. And if we do $F divided by 10, we hit here, and then we've already got something pretty, you know, fun to look at. Okay, so this has been an introduction to techniques for using the extrude sub. We'll be back with more.